Okie dokie. Right. Now, I don't know where people can see everyone else, but I shall start with the most famous first and move on in that order. So here on the panel today, there is me. I'm the most famous guy here, sorry. Can from Avensys Tech, and you all know me for everything Microsoft 365 and IT related. If you haven't seen me on LinkedIn, then I'm sorry. We've got Nitin Sharma here, who is the host of RecTalks and the owner of RecTools. Nitin, do you want to give everyone a quick summary as to who you are? I mean,
hey guys, I'm as Kan said, host of the RecTalk podcast and founder of RecTools, which is a directory of suppliers into recruitment businesses for a bit of clarity and a bit of peace of mind. I'm not a tech person. I ran a recruitment business like you guys, grew it, scaled it, ultimately failed it, and then moved into the world of podcasting rather than selling my time as a Ned. So yeah, I'm here to kind of basically be the voice of recruitment business owners and people on the ground, right? So I'm going to be questioning these guys just as much as you guys.
Right. Okay. So next online, we have Ben Fielding, who is probably well known for all things email deliverability. Ben, I guess I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Kan. Thanks for inviting me today. So my name is Ben Fielding. My business is Quinset. I'm an email deliverability specialist, and I focus primarily on the recruitment sector. Been in IT pretty much all my life, and discovered that I could bring together all the skills I have of obsession with around email systems and my love of working with recruitment companies and my passion around email marketing and deliverability, kind of bring that all together into one brand. So yeah, that's all Quinset does.
Cool. We've then got Nay and Catherine, who are representing the marketing side of emails, because we have tech, which is me and Ben, and then we have marketing, which ultimately gets readers' attention when they actually get the email in the inbox. So ladies, do you want to go introduce yourselves? Catherine first, and then Nay.
Everyone, I'm Catherine. I'm founder of Boudica Consulting. I'm a marketing consultant, basically. So I help recruitment businesses and suppliers with strategic marketing support. And so I suppose I come at email marketing. I've been in the trenches in terms of data, deliverability, and all the things that impact email marketing, and helping my clients and marketing mentees to build out successful marketing campaigns. So I come at it kind of from a strategic point of view and can help advise what works and what doesn't, and give people advice around that.
And last but not least, Nay.
Hi everyone, I'm Nay. I'm the founder of Rebrander, a marketing agency. And while we focus mainly on content creation, we have dealt with emails and email deliverability in the past. So the standpoint I'm coming from is how to make them look good, look more aesthetically pleasing, so your readers and your audience, candidates, clients would like to read them, and how to attract people with a good subject line, and how to get their attention and more open rates.
Excellent. Thank you to all the speakers for introducing themselves. So today's format, again, as I mentioned, is pretty much audience driven. We will kick it off with some questions that we have on our side as well. Those of you who have read my Landing Inbox series of, blogs, we went through a phase of technical stuff down to the prettiness of emails and content and what affects deliverability. So before we get into all the sort of niceties and kind of format or structure, etc. of emails, let's go into the technical side. So Ben, the biggest news at the moment is Google has closed the floodgates just before December to try and stamp on the mountain of spam that people are going to get during the festive season. Any sort of insights and stuff around that topic, and how things like DKIM, DMARC, SPF, etc. help organizations get those emails through to the right places?
Sure, thanks, Can. Good question, and I say very topical at the moment, but not a new topic. So, just for those who, I suppose, just to kind of level the playing field here of understanding what those acronyms mean, very quickly, an SPF record is a list of places that you will send emails from. The DKIM record is essentially a authentication record that you links your domain and you sending and the email coming to make sure it's legitimate. These are the two kind of identity verification things, and DMARC is a bit of governance that sits over the top of it that kind of dictates what people should do if those rules are broken. These have been around for years, these records, and a couple of years ago, almost 2 years to the day, a few weeks, Google announced, hey guys, look, we really need to see you having SPF, DKIM and DMARC. This is what we're going to be changing. You've got to have these records in place. And at some point, we'll probably tighten the screws a little bit more. Well, that some point has become November 2025. So right, you've had a couple of years, everyone. We've given you tools so you can see how you're doing. Google Postmaster, it's free. Google it, go set it up. I think 2 years is enough. Right, we're dropping the hammer. Right, if you are a bulk sender and you are not adhering to these rules, we're going to start putting on the naughty step, basically. We're going to start limiting the amount of emails you can send us. We're going to start temporarily blocking you coming in, and repeat offenders will find those blocks getting longer and longer. So from my perspective, the clients I've worked with, like, panic, what do we do? I said, nothing, we've done it all, right? We've done everything that we were supposed to have done. We've had 2 years of clients coming to me and I said, well, we're ready. We've got these records in place. But what's interesting is that Google have always been first movers when it comes to email deliverability and email related DNS records and functions, and everyone else follows suit. So the big question I've heard from people in the last few weeks has not been, oh, panic, what do we do about Google? It's been, oh, panic, who's going to be next? Is it going to be Microsoft, Yahoo? Is it going to be Apple? So Microsoft tends to keep themselves a bit distant from Google's announcements just because they don't get on. So Microsoft will probably do something within 12 months. The Yahoo/AOL platform, it's fairly imminent, right? They've already started making changes. They have some intellectual property from Google as part of their email infrastructure. So the Yahoo, AOL expect changes quite quickly. And from Apple's perspective, who knows, right? They're a law unto their own, pretty much. A lot of people also ask, like, how much is this going to affect me? I said, well, do a dump of your database, right? And chuck it in Excel. How many Google, Gmail and Google Mail email addresses make up part of my database, right? Do that analysis. So you can really start to understand how this might be affecting you. But I think it's a good thing, right? I mean, my job is to help people get into inboxes. And I think it's great that we have standards that people need to adhere to, because it actually makes my life easier, right? And it should make your lives easier, because you've got a set of standards and rules to live to. And go, okay, I'm going to do this. The one that catches everyone in the world of recruitment is actually, if I get too many people marking me as spam, that's going to go against me, right? That user reported spam. And this should, again, it will shift behaviors within the recruitment industry to focus on quality rather than quantity.
That's a brave statement. That's a brave statement.
Both are possible, right? We know that hyper-targeted emails to the right people with the right message with relevance to the recipient is going to get more engagement, okay? But just saying, hey, I've got a 10-year-old database with 1 million email addresses in it I've never really used, I might just hit it. Right? That's the Wild West of email. Has been over for a couple of years, but it's definitely, I mean, more bullets are being loaded in the gun right now. But understanding your data, doing your analysis, understanding the quality, verifying your lists, things like zero bounce or TLDR as a kind of list verification, and good enrichment of data to make sure, well, this is still relevant. They are still working in that space and could do with my email. You're never going to have 0 reports of spam, ever, right? Because we're always going to try and push the boundaries of who we're messaging, but it's just trying to keep that number down. And Google haven't really talked too much about that. What they've focused on is the technical aspects, and they've kind of haven't really gone into too much like, you have to, absolutely, we need to see this happening. But because it's nothing new, right? They've been talking about it for a while.
Right. And recruiters, they don't have a lot of time on their hands, especially solopreneurs. They just can't find the time to like figure this out properly? Is that the most efficient way to do this to cut down time for them? Is there any easier ways for them to do this?
So from kind of what I call layer one, your DNS settings, your SPF, your DKIM, your DMARC. Right? Yes, there's a lot of resources out there. Got loads of blogs on my website. Can's got information as well. There's lots of tools you can go out and verify that you've got things set up right. But ultimately, there are people out there who've set up their own Google Workspace, set up their own Microsoft 365. And unfortunately, those platforms don't explicitly make you set these records up. So you could need a bit of assistance to do this, but as I said, there's plenty of content out there that will help you do the SPF, the DKIM, the DMARC.
What about if I use something like MailChimp, or what if I use things like Job Adder, or like a CRM that allows me to just connect to my domain, but they control kind of how the emails are sent out, i.e. in sort of batches and bulk and that kind of thing, whatever. Is that not their responsibility to sort all of that out?
There'll always be advice from the service providers. They say, right, to add your domain, a lot of these platforms will just allow you to send out through your 365 or Google Workspace, and that's fine. It's on you, right? You've got whatever limits you've got from your service provider. A lot of them will enable say, right, you need to authenticate your domain. It will send from our infrastructure. So here's the DKIM key you need to go and set up. And oh, by the way, you need to make sure you've got a DMARC record. Not a 100%. Lot of them talk about SPF records. And some platforms, the way they send it, they kind of, it's okay. But yeah, there's a few gaps in the instructions that come out. And some of those instructions can be confusing. So you end up with people having 5 SPF records, like actual lines of DNS. You can only have one, but you can have multiple records in it. People end up with multiple DMARC records, right? You only need one. And some of this isn't particularly clear. Some platforms really mature. They verify it all for you and make it really, really simple. Others, the instructions aren't very clear.
No, 100%. And another thing that we mentioned, or that Ben just mentioned, was that some of these products will link you up into your existing email infrastructure like Microsoft 365. But one of the things that you need to bear in mind is platforms like Microsoft 365 aren't meant for mass mailing. You could land yourself in hot water if you hit the limit. And I think at the beginning of this year, Microsoft introduced Terrell, which is to do with tenant level email restrictions of, I think it was 10,000 emails per tenant per day, per 24-hour rolling period. They were going to introduce 2,000 emails per day per user that was due in September, but they've pushed that back due to uproar by customers, I guess. So bear in mind that those things are coming, and if you do get spam block, because there are rate limits and stuff within Microsoft platform and perhaps on Google. I'm not too clued up on the Google platform, but there are limits in place that will effectively immediately block you, and it can take a while to then unblock yourself. So you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think back to Nitin's question more specifically. Always get someone to check this who knows what they're doing, right? It's key that you're working.
But that's what I'm saying, though, right? So I ran a business with 15 headcount, and I was like the IT person. Don't know how the fuck that happened, but I was, right. I did check it with an expert, Job Adder, who were our CRM provider, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm gone. Listen, this is your lot's thing. I'll connect to the bits that you're asking me to do, but I'm expecting you to A, know what you're talking about, and B, make sure it works okay. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably representative for a lot of business owners, which is I am dealing with an expert, i.e. the people who I run this through, be it MailChimp, be it, Job Adder, be it any other CRM that allows me to email all of my database via their platform in my head, and call it naive, call it sort of, wrong in whatever context, but the fact is that I'm kind of leaving that to them because they're the ones that are supposed to know what they're doing, right? So let's then talk about the kind of the real world realities of that then, because if and when they get it wrong, because evidently they will, because it's not their area of expertise, what's the impact on me as a recruitment business owner? What's the impact on me on a day-to-day basis? Right? Okay, so I can't send mass mails anymore because I'm blacklisted or whatever. Fine, I just won't send them.
Yeah, right? we definitely see.
How does that impact the rest of my business? How does that impact the day-to-day running of what I'm doing?
I mean, I've definitely had recruiters who said we've just stopped mass mailing because it's not possible anymore. And my other recruiter friends telling me it's just not possible anymore. I said, well, I've got a client here sending 1 million emails a month, right? We've got 40% open rates, 10% click rates, and they're doing however many millions a year. And like, well, how are they doing it? Well, they have the benefit of having a lot of the tech set up properly, not breaking any of the rules that trigger spam filters or the email security filters that are out there. Right? They've been some might call it luck. Right, they've just the way that they've done it, not through a particular set of rules. It's just they found some way that worked for them, and they kept doing the same thing. But a lot of this comes back to: are you monitoring what's actually happening? Are you following the data? Right, data is key when it comes to managing your finances, managing your sales team, managing your marketing budget. Right, it's where's my ROI, what's working, what isn't, and watching those numbers and seeing what's going on. If you're seeing your email engagement rates doing this, don't just assume it's because that's the way it is now. There's something else going on. Now, if you saw something in your finance, all right, so let's say you've been doing all your own bookkeeping, you're a small business, you don't really do a lot. You do your own invoicing, you do your own bookkeeping, but you're seeing some you're getting queries on your VAT returns, you're getting, you're doing your end of year accounts, the accountant's like, what's going on? This doesn't make any sense. Well, who's doing your bookkeeping? Well, I am. Okay, well, you are a qualified bookkeeper, what experience do you have in bookkeeping? Well, none. I've never done it before, but I Googled it and 0 videos, and hey, I can do bookkeeping now. At some point, you come to the realization that I probably need someone with more experience than me to help me manage this important aspect of my business. And when it comes to technology, it's going to be the same thing. So it could just be it's a maturity thing. Absolutely, you can only learn so much by following what other people are doing to a degree. And this is one of the challenges in the IT industry. They make everything look easy, right? Anyone can go spin up a bunch of tools and a bunch of services and get everything working. Yeah. But actually, when you look at it from mine and Can's perspective, there's this like shanty town of technology stacked on top of each other that could fall over at any minute. And it's so, well, let's get the foundations right. A professional would help come and set this stuff up. But it is working.
Sorry, I'm going to put a big but in that thing as well. Yes, you can follow all the guides and you can set everything up yourself, perhaps, and you might actually get it right, because like I said, these CRM providers, etc., they do provide, to the most part, they will provide you with guides on how to do it. I mean, they won't do it for you. They might hold your hand on doing it. The other part to this is that a lot of things in technology, as Ben was alluding to, change at such a rapid rate that it's not a one and done thing. You have to keep up with these things, and you got a job on kind of the day job of looking after your business, making sure that revenues come in, etc. These things do take time to kind of constantly look up and understand and kind of evaluate and put into practice. But it is like most things with deliverability. It isn't something that's one and done. It is something that you have to constantly keep up. It's like going to the gym, I guess. That's part of the next side of the discussion that we were talking about, Ben. But anyway, back to you. Sorry.
What can I ask in terms of Catherine and Nate? What's market sentiment on email mail shots? I know I spend. I seem to do it in like 3 batches in my day now, where in the morning and then at lunchtime and then at the end of the day, I'm going through my personal email account and I'm just bulk deleting a load of stuff. I've given up trying to unsubscribe because for me, for every one I unsubscribe from, I get another 5 that have signed me up from somewhere, and I'm just getting bombarded all the time, right? So for me, mass mail shots don't work. As a business, we don't do it. We never have really, but I don't buy into it, so I don't do it, right? I don't buy that way. I don't know why people keep doing it. From your guys' perspective, from kind of the marketing and the clients you're working with, what is market sentiment? Why do people insist on doing this? And what is the feeling towards that right now? Are people still coming to you with strategies and wanting to or not,
I think to be honest, I think the market sentiment has changed over the years, and actually tech's had a big part of that. So I think a lot of people know, and everyone on the call, please, if you've got questions about this or you say wrong, but a lot of people know mass mail shots don't work. That's been the way since before the 2 years ago. And I remember all of this coming in, Ben, myself. What has actually helped in that time, and probably a bit longer is actually, especially in our industry, the rise of automation. So I'll get onto that in another way, because automation and the automation tools, so the likes when Sourcewell came in and then non-recruitment ones like Apollo and things like that, actually they do a great job at not mass mailing. That's kind of what they're really good at. So I think with the introduction of that tech and that mindset, actually the businesses that have adopted those tools have kind of got that. And I've worked, you know, in a business where they all turned into mini CRM execs going, oh, okay, this is amazing. And they got about throttling and what subject lines and personalization and all the nitty gritty bits that are important. So I think the tech had moved on, and that has really helped with the market sentiment. I think people that don't have those tools, most people that land at, well, I just need to get something out there, is because, like you were saying, it's being on all the time, but you've got to be on all the time with everything, every marketing channel and your tech and your finance, and in a small business, that's just really hard. And it's just really easy. And, you know, I know this myself to default to, well, I want to promote this webinar or I'll get something out there. And I think in terms of the mass bit, that's not, and I want to come to you on this, Ben, too detrimental, depending on what all this other activity you're doing on a daily basis is. It's detrimental if that's all you're ever doing, like popping up like it used to be a quarterly newsletter, or like, oh, you once every 6 months and you're hitting like 10,000 records, like then you're never getting delivered, end of. But if it's a small part of a wider strategy that works and you've got everything set up correctly and it's not the only thing you're doing and you're running trigger-based campaigns, and anyway, we can talk about that later. It's not dead. It's just got to be smart and sensible. And it goes back to the whole, when we talk about mass, what is mass? And again, these tools have been helpful. Like, you know, why are you sending the same message to 10,000 people, 1,000 people, maybe 100 people? You know, like, not all your customers need that same message at the same time. They're not all the same.
Definitely.
Something I did want to pick up with what Ben said, because I think this comes into it, and I want to ask your opinion, Ben. So I talk a lot with like businesses. I'm a marketing mentor. A lot of my mentees, in terms of measuring everything through from a marketing point of view to revenue. That's a big part of what I do. And I do nag on about not tracking vanity metrics. So I'm interested to speak your view on this, Ben, because over the years, I do not look at email dashboards anymore, because quite frankly, the data's shit, and it has been for a good 5 years. I mean, and now it's almost impossible, because you know full well I could get an 80% open rate, I could get a 40% click-through rate. But it's bollocks. Like, it's bots through and through. And back in the days, when I was in the trenches, I know it firsthand, because I've gone line by line by line by line through thousands of Excel records that I've pumped out, and now you just don't even bother with that. So I think there's still a gap for me in terms of your email tool, whatever you're using. If you go and look at the metrics that it gives you, how useful they are. And I'm guessing you might say the one that is going to be now more useful than anything else is probably your unsubscribe rate and definitely your bounce rate. But in terms of open and click-through rate, I don't find them very useful. But what I do get my clients to do is focus on what we're measuring. So it's harder, but it's more valuable. So you're sending an email to promote a webinar. I actually don't care what the open rate and click-through rate is, and especially if it's all massively inflated through bots. What we care about is how many people signed up for this webinar. So I focus on measuring the impact, the action, the thing you want the customer to do at the end of it, and how that links through to your marketing goals. But it does make, like the tracking KPIs in terms of email marketing, I think very, very difficult. I don't know if there's an easy answer to it anymore, Ben.
Yeah. So the simple answer to this is, right, ignore the number. Ignore the number of opens, ignore the number of clicks. All we're interested in is relative to other campaigns, relative to last week, last month, right? It's the difference. Is that going up? Because if it's going up and we've got a fairly similar set of data, then we must be doing something that's a bit more positive, right? We're going that way. A lot of the email marketing tracking tools are quite smart nowadays, because they realize with the rollout of email security filters, we see, preloading of links to make sure they're not suspicious, sandboxing of emails to make sure they load there's nothing suspicious in. Yes, they can trigger something that records an open, yes, they can trigger something recorded as a click. But a lot of these tracking tools now take that into account. Like, do you know what? If it's been opened and clicked within so many seconds of being sent, ignore it, right? It's not legit. So we're seeing better and better data in many of the tools, not all of them. But even then, you say, do you know what? I'm just going to ignore that. One of the big challenges we have with open rates is the way we track open emails nowadays is you have a tiny little picture that you can't even see inside the email. And the open is tracked by the fact that that image was loaded from a website, because it's just the source of it is it's back end of your website / tracking link, whatever it might be, or a tracking pixel. If that's loaded and it goes, right, that web link was hit once. Most people use Outlook, fair number of people use Outlook, and we've all seen that show content or not show content, right? If you don't show that content, you're probably not going to get that registered as an open. So again, the number is, was it 40%? Was it 45%? Was it 12%? Ignore that. What's the difference between now and the last campaign we run? Has it improved?
Which again really ties into what lists are you sending to? I do it on a regular basis, because you can't monitor that if you're spiking with mass mail shots. So it's just another reason, isn't it, to sort of feed into the system of and what I found when using, like the BD outreach tools really came in and started, like, I went from a position of trying to nag consultants to care about data and their CRM and email marketing, and then really not caring for years, to, we've got this tool and it kind of does it all for us. CRM's great, I love it. And it did do a huge job for us marketers. Like, I kind of sort of think they were really helpful. Because they then realized they did have to care about these things. It kind of forced them to do it. And what I was always told by the likes of these, and we've run training on it, is those tools are mimicking human output. Like, they're meant to look like, they don't, the limits, the throttling, all the techniques that they use is all to get through all these filters. And the way they do that is to mimic a human. It's about saying, real human, none of us could send, I don't know, like 3,000 emails a day or whatever, like you said, that limit's going to be canned. That's because a real human cannot do that, and they can recognize that. So these tools are really good at helping people act more human, basically, instead of just dumping a list in from, Cognizant or wherever and just blasting it out.
If you go down into the realm of the tools, now I spend a lot of my time in IT security and email security, etc. The tools are getting smarter and smarter by the day, and there's probably no one out there who, other than themselves, who knows what goes into the metrics that actually determine what's spam and what's not spam. But of course, if you're trying to email one of my clients, most of them we set our kind of thresholds to as much high as we can without disrupting their day-to-day business, basically. So the higher that threshold goes, the less likelihood of new emails of getting through basically onto the inbox. So of course you are, no matter what you do from again, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but no matter what you do from a deliverability standpoint, or whether it's the technical setup or the fluffiness of the email, whatever it is, it depends on the receiver's end and the thresholds that they've set their spam filters to. Some people write out deny emails from certain domains. That comes down to the we can get down into it. Actually, one of the things that we haven't covered so far yet in this, and we've been about half an hour into this, is email warm-up, which has been a topic that people have brought up. But before I go there, Ben, there was a question one of the attendees put into the chat earlier around the fact that he's been sending to the same database for a while, but he's been seeing differences in the response. The stats, which I think you and Catherine were just speaking about. Do you want to have a quick look at that, Ben?
Yeah, Nish says, I find every campaign response is so different, although it's the same database of emails. So that kind of, I think that takes a blend of both of what you guys are talking about, Catherine and Ben, right? In that it's not about what you've got set up. It's not, effectively, it's the content of what you're sending, isn't it? Right. And sometimes that content is relevant and sometimes that content's not relevant. And to your point, Catherine, you're not going to send a suitable candidate to over 100 people on your database. And if you're saying that you found a candidate that's suitable for 100 different people, you're lying to yourself, and you probably shouldn't be recruiting, right? Let's be honest. Again, your newsletter about industry sentiment or whatever it is that you specialize in, yeah, probably is useful to 1,000 different people, but not 1,000 different levels of seniority decision makers, right? If you're sending something to C-suite, it's got to look very, very different to sending something to SLT, which has got to look incredibly different to sending things that are to hiring managers and day-to-day ops managers, right? It's understanding kind of that and sort of how we communicate. What do you reckon when you see things like that then, Ben? What do you think? What's your first gut instinct when someone says, yeah, well, I'm sending emails and sometimes they get open and sometimes they don't? Like from technical perspective, do you think there's an answer within that?
Yeah, I mean, so Nish has made the same mistake that we've already made so far in talking about this, that we've assumed that there's only two variables. The only two variables being my DNS setup and my contact database. There's so much in between, right? And not just relevance and engagement and how useful and how beautiful it is, but there could be technical aspects within that message that are triggering spam filters, right? You could have accidentally put a naked URL, so google.com, and then you sent it from an email marketing tool that puts a tracking link on that. So when you hover over it, it's actually a different domain. That's basically what phishing attacks are, right? Hiding and masking a domain. So you could have accidentally done that. You could have, because it could be different hyperlinks, could be different language, could be different sentiment, that different spam filters are picking up differently. It could just be industry was busy that day, right? And there could have been other stuff going on. I'd always say you're looking to remove as many variables as possible, and like for like testing. I'm very much 100% problem analysis person. It's like, well, we did this and saw that. Okay, well, let's repeat the thing exactly to see if we see the same thing again. Right, we do see the same thing again. Okay, fab. Let's make a change or changes to this and see if we can see something different. It's that. That's your problem, and that's one of your problems. But a lot of people assume, I've made that change now, it's all fine. It's no, you found a problem. That's not all the problems, you just found a problem. And a lot of this is about testing. A lot of the challenges I feel we all have here, and been in IT forever, these online tools that we just are now just the tools we use. When this stuff was first coming out, we used to call this shadow IT. Right, this stuff that sales and marketing were going to buy off the books that the IT department had no visibility of, and it was freaking out the IT industry. Right, all IT now is basically that. It's all software as a service, SaaS, and we've got really good in the IT industry of making this really, really easy to get on board and start to consume. But most of this is still incredibly difficult to master. Right. It's like going to get Adobe Firefly because you're going to do some AI generated image. That's 5% of what it can do, right? Oh, I've set up Microsoft 365. I can send an email, right? Behind that is what used to be 30 servers and a huge infrastructure with a team of 10 people running it. There's so much complexity behind what you can see. Even Canva, right? Most people use 10% of what Canva can do. It's got a massive scaled up enterprise offering that's just phenomenal, but really difficult to master. So say, because it's so easy to spin up 365, really easy to spin up a CRM and an email marketing tool and get up and running, that doesn't make you an expert in 365 and an expert in email marketing. It just means that you can plug the stuff that used to be really hard was plugging all these tools in together. That's really easy to do now, but mastering it still takes time and skill. And we can't be expected as solo business owners to be an expert at everything. And you have to make a decision about what it is I am going to focus on and what is it that I probably need to budget for getting an expert in to help me, or at least get it to there and then I can run with it. We normally do it the other way around. We get it to there and then we ask for help.
Right. Coming back to this whole concept of getting a domain set up, getting Microsoft 365 set up, etc., plugged in. We've been speaking about mass email tools, etc., but we haven't spoken about the actual basic day-to-day emails and stuff. And one of the things that solopreneurs, perhaps more so than others, and maybe new businesses, what happens? You want to go out there and market your business. You want to try and communicate with your clients. How do you kind of get past in that first few months something that we call in the industry as warming up your domain or scaling up your email campaigns, etc.? I guess again, it's pointed towards you, Ben, because you're the expert here. But what is your take on, kind of, I guess, warm up and scale up?
So what a lot of the email filters, email security tools, email service providers, right, what they're looking for is patterns of behavior to try and restrict the bad stuff coming through. So everything that happens to you is happening because there's a rule or a trigger or an algorithm looking for behaviors, right? And we know that a bad behavior is this domain didn't exist yesterday, it does exist today, and it's sending 10,000 emails, right? There's only one type of business that generally does that, and that's scams, phishing attacks, payload virus deployments, all that kind of stuff, because that's historically what it was. What looks like a normal sending behavior is, well, this domain exists and it's sending a few emails a day. This is a new business. They're just getting up and running. They've just got an accountant. They're engaged in IT. Oh, they're emailing a couple of customers. They've got their first customer. They've made their first hire, right? So the volume of emails is going up and going up and growing. And the emails are coming back, importantly. Emails are coming back from these platforms to you as well. And organically over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, your volume and traffic of email grows and grows and grows. And this is expected behavior, right? From an algorithm perspective, this is normal. But a lot of people can't wait to get here. So like, I need to do mass mail now. Okay, so how do we speed that process up? How do we make that legitimate? How do we encourage these algorithms to see that, hey, my services are emailing you back. They're coming back to you. You can do this manually, right? You can email everyone, your cousin, your aunt, everyone on the webinar today. Please just reply to me. Please forward my email to someone. Please engage with me, right? And you can get that flow of emails going. But that's time consuming. If you've got time, great, do it. Have a list, right? So everyone you've ever played a sport with, right, team, hey, email them, reply back. Or you can plug in tools that can automate that behavior. That can automate you sending a message, and it can automate a message coming back to you. And there is, 100 tools known out there that have got a half decent reputation that will automate that warm up, but they all have their different ways of doing it. Some are good, some are not good, some have got better, some haven't changed in 3 years, right? And it's knowing what's the right thing for your business and actually seeing the data. But yeah, it's not the answer, it's an answer.
Here's
and
one
then on that, okay, go on. Yeah,
just a quick one. So I had a situation earlier. I've got a client who I email multiple people in their business all the time, back and forth, absolutely fine, comes through every time. One of the people that I deal with is leaving, so she's introduced me to another person in the business, and I've gone, yeah, cool, hey, great, we'll jump on a call at some point. He's then responded to me and it's hit my spam. I've not seen it until today. This is from like 3 or 4 days ago. And I've gone, oh crap, okay, you're in my spam. I don't know why, because I deal with that domain all the time. I deal with the people in this business all the time. That particular person, it's the first time that they've then responded to me. Why would that happen? And obviously from my point of view, the wider impact of that is if I'm running a recruitment business, I can't, if this is a common thing, then I've got interview invites that are probably hitting people's spam, and I've got CVs that I'm sending as part of a shortlist, not even specking, just a shortlist that I'm working with a client on to a new client in a business that I've already engaged with for multiple years, and I'm hitting their spam, and I don't even know about that. So why would that happen, and B, how do I figure out kind of the resolve in that scenario if I'm said client?
Can I start on that, Ben?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So there's a number of things, obviously, as a business you can do to kind of troubleshoot that, starting with the non-delivery reports, or starting with the kind of analysis you can do on 365 backend for that. But my immediate response would be, well, there must have been something within the email chain or that particular email that triggered it. Sometimes it could be down to signature. You mentioned that it was a new person, right? I find one of the biggest things that people do in most SMEs is, I need an email signature. I'm just going to copy and paste the other person's signature and change something. And in doing so, you may be introducing bad or broken HTML into your signature, basically. Or something that you've done that's broken a link somewhere, whatever. Spam filters pick up on these things as signs of dodginess, essentially, and may quarantine that email, right? So that's one trigger point. it could just be an image, or it could just be some phrase that they've used as well. So there are a number of things that could cause these things. Again, Ben, your experience on that, because you probably troubleshoot these particular issues as well.
Yeah. So I'd be 100% sure in saying there's not just one problem there. So from a reputation perspective, reputation is not, unlike we're told when we're kids, there's not just good and bad, right? There's this whole kind of layers in between, and things head in one direction or the other. So if you imagine the reputation of your domain based on your previous history, from breaking DNS rules to being marked as spam to challenging content or volume spikes, all these other things, and you could just be hovering. There's this line, right? You're okay down here, but then this is like, we're in trouble, right? Heads above the water now. Hold on, not impressed with this at all. So it could be that as a domain, they might be floating around down here, and then one of the things that Can's mentioned could have happened. That's just boop, no, spam. That's it. I don't like that. But if you were kind of hovering, if you were down here, and this is what I work with people on, is how do we remove every reason that might be putting you up towards that bad line? How do we bring all of that back? Little incremental changes. So if you do something, you're still away from that line up there. But a lot of businesses assume, it's because it's a new email address. Microsoft doesn't care that you just hide Bob. Really, they're not looking at that level of, unless you've explicitly had your actual email address added to an explicit block list, they really don't care too much. There is examples of where specific email addresses who have been huge bulk senders have got a worse reputation than other email addresses, but that's seriously got to have been on the radar, right? It really, really popped up. But ultimately, there's all the variables, right, between the DNS and through to was it relevant, and all these other things that sit in between. Some things just pushed it up, and it's gone, no, I don't really like that.
So as an IT guy, we've troubleshot this kind of issue a number of times, and sometimes it can be down to, for example, a person forwarding an email, which is part of a chain, and it's not even their email that's causing the issue. It's something down the chain, because you've got like about 10 other replies below yours. One of those has something that's broken in the process, or just because it didn't get picked up by your spam filter, it may get picked up by someone else's spam filter. So there's there's an endless number of possibilities, and with these things, there's no such thing as a yes, it was definitely this, or yes, it was definitely that. It's a matter of actually looking at the individual case and trying to find out in a process of elimination what probably caused it. Just to correct one thing Ben mentioned, not correct, but just to highlight, he mentioned new email address. It doesn't mean domain. It's actually the address of the person that they don't care about. The domains they do care about, because new domains is a prime target for spam, effectively. Yeah.
There's that one comes up a lot, and one of the questions I got asked for someone who couldn't be here was like, please answer this question. Like, how long should I have a domain before I start mass mailing? I get asked that a lot. I was like, as long as you possibly, as old as it can be, as long as it can be. Preferably, if you're going to go buy a new domain, buy an aged domain, as they call them, something that's been owned for many years and has just come up for sale again. Absolute gold, because there'll probably be this like kind of history to it. And there's tools we can use to see what's happened in the past of a domain. But you need to leave it as long as possible, and you need to appear on the scene like this, not like this. There's the hard and fast rule I've had from some email security platforms. They say if a domain is under 90 days old, black mark. If it's under 60 days old, triple black mark. If it's under 30 days old, no, not interested. Not even going to accept your email. Don't care how good you are. It's not every email filter. So I generally go for have a 90-day plan, just to hedge your bets, right? We're all emailing businesses, probably enterprises. They've got every email security tool known to man. I mean, especially if you're hiring for companies like Cannes, every IT company will have some kind of hyper-tuned email filtering solution in place, either a third-party product or Microsoft.
Is this just for mass e-shop mailing, or is this for just like every day? So I've registered my new business, I'm ready to go, and I want to send an email to 5 clients. Am I likely to hit spam straight away?
Maybe. It really depends. Like there's again lots and lots of variables in there, but if you bought a domain today, plugged into 365 tomorrow, and sent 500 emails the next day, highly likely that a majority of those won't hit the inbox. But exactly who and with who is it could be. So one of the ones that one of my clients got caught out with, they had a .co.uk domain, weren't a mass mailer, kept going to spam. Turns out the owner of the .com domain was a mass mailer, and they just got tarred with that brush because they assumed, again, algorithmically, they look for these things. Oh, you've just bought the .sg, the .ae, the .co.uk, the .uk. You're probably the same people. It's like, oh, bloody hell.
And another thing, sorry, that I've seen in this space is basically some of you may be familiar with Francis West, who does cybersecurity, and I was on his mailing list. I still am, and for a large part, he wasn't able to get into my mailbox. And the reason for that was my spam filter, right? And I kept ignoring his emails because he kept going to quarantine. Obviously, if I then start releasing his emails, then the next time it's going to come into my inbox, and that's what happened eventually. However, there was nothing he could do to get the email delivered directly into my mailbox, because ultimately it was still in quarantine. I still ignored releasing it. So if you, for the first time, land in the quarantine and the person you're trying to get through doesn't release you from quarantine, then the next time that email comes in, it's going to go into quarantine until such point that the person is actually going to release it. So again, you can do all the things you want. Unless the person physically unblocks you, there's nothing you can do to get into it. Now, with that note, there's a question from Luke Pulsford here about emailing 600 contacts in a space where email security is, the bomb. What are your best kind of tips, Ben, for Luke there about
Mate, can you read the question out so those that have maybe not got the chat up can hear it?
Yes. So we recruit into the InfoSec space where email security governance and filtering standards are extremely strict. What are the biggest no-nos you would advise avoiding when sending out monthly email campaigns to our client base around 600 contacts? Specifically, does deliverability improve if we limit volume, i.e. 200 contacts per day, send messages in plain text, avoid signatures, links and PDFs or other attachments, or reduce the overall email size?
I've got a few ideas on that. Probably before the tech bit. I mean, again, what I was saying earlier, it depends what other stuff you're doing. So not knowing all the other stuff you're doing, which is what these guys have talked about, your tech setup, what your daily emails are. And the one point I'm going to go back to, both Can and Ben have said this, you've got to remember, acting like a human, what you want the other person at the end of that email to do is to respond, right? It's what we all want whenever we're communicating with someone. So as many emails as you can send day to day in campaigns that warrant a response, you're going to, once you've done all the tech setup, your email deliverability is going to be better. And also just from a human perspective, that customer is going to be up for receiving more emails from you. And again, I know this is an issue with time and resource. I've been in that boat. I'm still in that boat. I'm a solo marketer as well now myself. It's hard to achieve, but I think it comes back to, again, what you're doing around that. Because if it's a one-off monthly email to your 600 contacts, again, they're not good. Email tools will, and you spend a bit more on these ones normally, but good email tools will work out from various sendings how best to send to each individual. So based on when they've opened an email before, like literally what is the best time to the second that each individual of 600 wants to read an email. It's not all going to be at the same time. So the best email tools kind of stretch the limiting the sending volume to 200 emails a day to sending them at the right kind of day, right time of day for that person. And that is just something, again, that good email tools and through some practice you can work out and manipulate. So I think there's a bit of,
I think, again, before we look at the technical side of it, you've got to ask yourself from an operational perspective, like what are you sending 600 people?
Yeah,
right?
So what do you
The
want
likelihood
to
is
do with it?
it's probably some sort of monthly newsletter, right? Fine. Good. So you're going to give an update on market sentiment, maybe a salary survey, maybe some sort of insights as to what's gone on in this super niche sector that you operate in. Great. The change of the rules and the way this is all kind of heading is basically telling us that you've got to find a better way to do this. So maybe a LinkedIn newsletter is better. Maybe a blog on your website is better. Maybe you've got to create that 600 database. You've got to create either segments of that into micro communities that you then communicate with in a different way. But the point is, there is no, oh, okay, you were just clicking this button and sending it to 600 people. We've stopped you doing that now. However, if you buy this shiny new piece of like harassment as a service software, we'll allow you to do it again. No, it's not going. It doesn't work that way. But the game's changed, and we've got to move on. Is the underlying kind of point here?
You can play with it too.
Something to send 600 people that they're going to respond to. You just don't.
Yeah.
None of us receive an email from from like I get newsletters from the school all the time. I'm not responding to them. Thank you for sending that. That was brilliant. I look forward to the next one. It doesn't happen. So
can I just go back to your point saying about LinkedIn and try different avenues instead of email? I don't think from a marketing perspective that's a great way to just shift your platform, because email contacts are actually the only contacts that you own. Like if you go to LinkedIn or if you go to Instagram, Facebook, they own those contacts, and if they shut down or if they go under, then your leads database is completely gone. So I think it's great to utilize emails and send those newsletters, but construct them in a way that is engaging and that will get those open rates for you. And like what Ben was saying earlier about the hyperlinks in the emails, maybe check and see if your links or anything in your emails can come up as spam, and then go from there. But it's always great to have emails as a database, 100%.
Something you can do, I totally agree, Nate, but something you can do with those 600 contacts, and again, this is what some of like the source whales and stuff will emulate, but you can do it manually, is break down those 600 contacts. I don't know how many, you haven't said how many headcount you have in your business, but something as simple as most humans open an email from another human, not a marketing at email, for example. So if say you've got 15 heads in your business, if each of those 15 heads are sending the same email to their genuine customers that they email back and forth every day, they will be able to get it through. And again, it's things like, because they will be sending it at different times of the day, it takes a lot of the automated sort of bot lookalike,
it takes the feel
traffic out of it. So make it more personal, even if you don't have snazzy tools, manually. So send them from your individual contacts, get your business to break down that list and send them across the number of people you're sending it personally. And then again, in each of those, it's very natural when you send an email personally that you personalize it and use people's names. So again, personalizing the emails with as many different fields helps. Sorry, someone else has asked, what are these example of the email tools? I mean, there are tons. So I think some of the things we've talked about are, there's the BD outreach tools. So the big one in our industry is Sourcewell, but there are others that aren't recruitment specific, like Apollo, and there's loads of others now. They do the push outreach, and they are really good at abiding by these rules, basically getting you to think about personalization, sending from different people and all of that sort of stuff. So these are tools that you can look like. From a marketing email tool point of view, it's again like what Ben was saying, the entry level is so easy. I mean, MailChimp, free MailChimp, anyone can do. You will not practice good. You will not practice good email marketing. Brevo is great, but again, with all of these tools, you normally have to step up a couple of payment levels to start getting the AI, the algorithm information that will supplement your sending. So yeah, in terms of, I'd say, no, I probably agree with you there. In terms of an entry level email marketing tool, Brevo is really, really good, and has jumped over MailChimp loads in the last couple of years. So Brevo is really great. But again, to get these tools that say, oh, that you're not going to get on the free level or even the starter platform and start getting the things that tell you what time of day you can email people. Something a bit more sophisticated, especially if you've got an in-house marketer or something, I really like Active Campaign. It's a really good email marketing and automation tool. Again, the reporting's got better as well. You normally have to up a level in terms of payment to get some of the clever stuff, but that's really good, more for marketers, I would say. And then, you know, like kind of at the top, you've got like your HubSpot basically, but you'd be paying all bells and whistles for something like that to get all of the tools and the trickery that we're talking about, I think, which is not normally, to be honest, budget.
There's too big. People can afford. I'm really conscious of time, and there's a couple of things I wanted to chuck in. One, Luke, I could spend 2 hours talking to you about that, genuinely. Right, there's so many variables in there that would really get under the skin and be able to give you any advice. But it's not about doing something or not doing something. It's about understanding the engagement level of these paying customers. Are they on subscriptions? Are they old contacts? Are they new leads? All sorts of things. What's in your PDF? What is in your links? What are you trying to achieve? What's the call to action? How relevant is it? It's huge. Me and Catherine could go to town on this for days, right? Now, when it comes to email marketing tools, we need to make a really clear delineation between those that send through your existing email service provider, Microsoft, Google Workspace, whatever else you use, right? Because they don't care, right? They will just let you send stuff out. They don't care. Email marketing tools provide you with an email sending infrastructure. HubSpot, Brevo, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, MailerLite, they own the email sending infrastructure and will come down on you like a ton of bricks if your bounce rate's too high, if your spam rate's too high. These are designed for engaged, subscribed users who want your content, right? They are not to chuck 10,000 cold records in and mail out because you'll just kill it. You know, they'll just stop you using the platform or stop you using a list. So that helps you understand the intention of both these sides of kind of technologies. This is about nurturing. And then the other side, this is about like cold outreach.
Love that.
Natalie asked, is Instantly an example?
Instantly is cold outreach.
Cold outreach.
So in terms of the, you know, like we've been speaking about, you know, getting people to open your emails. And again, like I said, if the hook that you put into your subject lines or whatever it is good enough, then people may be tempted to then release it from their quarantines, which will then help you end up in the inbox.
Pick up the phone. Did you get my email? Could you do me a favor? Just on, I know we spent a lot of time speaking about what do you call it, the tech side of things. I wanted to kind of in the last few minutes try and focus a bit more on the marketing elements of things. You know, opening it up again to Nay and Catherine there. What else about email deliverability do you want to kind of discuss and kind of give some hints and tips to the audience?
From my side, I think for cold email outreach, quality over quantity always target people. Maybe they're on Indeed, maybe they're on job boards and they're looking to hire people already. This is from a client perspective. And go use these tools like Apollo or Instantly and find out their emails and then look through their LinkedIn, send them a personalized email saying, hey, I saw this on your LinkedIn. This is cool. This is what I do. I can see that you're also hiring for this role. Can we have a chat? And then that's how mainly my clients get the most response because one, you're being more personalized. Two, they're already posting on these job boards looking for someone. And it's just a nice way to introduce yourself. So that's where my clients win with getting new clients.
I know in the audience I can recognize quite a few people there. Candice, do you have any questions?
Hi, Ken. Hi, everyone. I think for me, it's just been more about sort of learning this side of marketing, because for me, most of my marketing outreach for my recruiters, and I'm in marketing solely, but most of my outreach is over social media, and I leverage Facebook, LinkedIn for the most part. We're looking next year at logging, you know, getting out onto other platforms, but this is just an interesting way to look at it for me, a marketer that hasn't ever worked previously in recruitment until I came into this job. So this is completely new area of expertise for me, but one that I've really enjoyed learning. So the reason why I wanted to join was really just to see if this was another arm of marketing that perhaps I could use, because I know that my recruiters use things like Dripify over LinkedIn. And I don't know if I'm understanding it correctly, but it seems perhaps that a lot of these tools are for the recruiters themselves who would have access to job boards like Indeed, etc., etc. Or if this is something that I could leverage as a marketer, sort of looking from the outside in, if you would, perhaps you could
Totally.
tell me. Yeah, it's just for me, it's like right. So if
Yeah.
you're talking about going and leveraging Indeed and job boards, how would I go about that? Because it's quite difficult for me to know exactly what is out there other than me knowing the sectors that we work in.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, I could talk for a long time with you about that. Let's do that. But I kind of like to come back to the point that, like, up until, like I say, about 3 or 4 years ago, the only people that cared about email were marketers. It was called email marketing for a reason. The tools, the outreach, the BD tools have changed it. And it's probably why, consequently, Google and Microsoft and the likes have come down like a ton of bricks on ultimately salespeople. So yes, these tools are absolutely part of your armory as well. And I encourage marketers to have a license for these tools as well. It is another channel, and we can use it too. And we can also support the consultants with what we're doing, because normally, in my experience, the marketers are normally the ones that kind of adhere to best practice.
And will you?
Think so.
Sorry. Go on, Candice. Sorry.
No.
Nope.
I'm just, I've looked into HubSpot before, and you've said already that HubSpot obviously comes with quite a large price tag. So it's interesting to know that about these other options that come well recommended without having to try and do some, pretty in-depth due diligence myself.
Will, I think you had a question as well.
Oh yeah, hi there, Candice. Just on the HubSpot point, I use HubSpot and it's brilliant. They do a startup package, and you can get up to 90% off. So give that a Google, and it makes it a lot cheaper. My question was, when you release something from quarantine, is that a local action that impacts only your email and nothing else, or does it send the fact you've released it back to Microsoft to say, hey, this was not spam?
That's a very good question. I think I'm going to have to mute you for a second, Will.
So from my perspective, I've always believed it to be a local decision that's being made inside your 365 tenancy. It's only if you report it being incorrectly put in quarantine to Microsoft that they might look at it, maybe.
Yes.
But can confirm.
No, that is my view on that as well. It's like unless you report it as a falsely, misclassified as not spam or falsely classified as spam, then Microsoft don't do anything about it. It's just for your tenant, and sometimes you could have it in your quarantine for yourself, but it may actually land in someone else's mailbox within the same organization. Again, these things can be subjective.
Feels a bit
Okay,
unfair.
thanks very much.
Sorry, Nitin?
So that feels a bit unfair, doesn't it? That somebody can get you can mark my emails as spam, and Microsoft will go, oh, likely to be spam. If we get a few more of that, this guy's a spammer. But if you go, oh no, not spam, they'll go, okay, maybe not to you, but maybe to other people.
Yeah, so they will
marking it.
What Microsoft will look for is their bulk complaint level. So if they get bulk complaints, that's one marker. Then you've got your spam complaint level, that's a marker as well. So they will look at that from overarching reports. It's more impactful when you send to the consumer Maggie mailboxes, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Yahoo, right? Though it's one domain, right? So, well, it's multiple domains for each of them, but it's one mail infrastructure. So they can use this data however they like to assess the reputation. But B2B emails, right? You might find that they go to spam and they don't. If Microsoft are putting you a spam for everyone, then if you're on Microsoft 365, get yourself or your IT provider to speak to Microsoft, because there's normally a little magic button that gets pressed and they don't tell you they pressed it.
Yes. Yeah, so unless there's any other questions, any marketers in here, anyone else want anything else? Oh, so there is one question again from Nish. Nish has been very active today. So there is a high risk of your domain being marked as spam if you do cold outreach. Of course, yes.
No, that's a wrong statement.
Oh, really?
Right?
Okay.
Because you might be sending cold outreach that's perfect for the intended audience that really resonates with them, and you get high engagement from.
Well, if it's highly targeted. If it's highly targeted,
you might nail it, right? You might send out to 100,000 people, and it really resonates with 99,999 of them, and they all email you back. That is cold outreach. That will not get you marked as spam. If it's the other way around, 99,999 mark you as spam, yes, it's going to kill the domain reputation. So think about your cold outreach. It's not don't do it. It's do it well.
Oh, okay. So I think I know who you are. I'm not going to say Nitin's fanboy here.
Say it.
So yes, GDPR, etc. is a big thing. Yes, opt-in is still mandatory, although we pretend that GDPR doesn't exist at the moment. But you must only be sending emails to opted in individuals, and yes, you must state all these things on your emails or unsubscribes, etc. Any other? I mean, I didn't want to start speaking about GDPR and stuff today, but any other?
It's a big topic.
It is a big can of worms. But yes. One that marketers kind of tend to kind of shy away from. Yes. Any other questions before we wrap up? Anything that anyone has a burning desire to get answered? Whether it's marketing related, whether it's tech related. I take it silence is a bliss. Well, thank you very much for everyone who has attended. A few shout outs to people who know me personally in the crowd. Thank you again. And if you do have any other questions ongoing, do feel free to reach out to either one of us, Ben, Catherine, myself, Nay. And if we don't speak to you beforehand, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm just closing off the